Time and money was spent ahead of time before we ducked off to bed at 9. In fact, with that natural act, we created something priceless. But here we go again, subjectifying our kid to a dollar amount. I mean, I can admit I cheated, depleted every positive image of me that you ever had, and now you get back at me by paying you to be a full-time dad. I hurt your feelings, you hurt my pockets. Now I'm only called on for monetary assignments and bank account realignments. Like, she telling me things like, don't worry about his snotty nose or where his potty goes as long as you can buy him the nicest clothes and put the flyest shoes around his toes. I'm like, damn, just because our relationship failed don't mean that I will as a parent. But it is apparent that I want to see my child and I can't stand it. Carrots, 14 gold, you thought we would get married, and now Uncle Sam is giving you something better than Jared. I'm talking free housing, as long as I'm not present, but you won't even let me see him as long as I present presents. I mean, if you can't pay, you can simply get help from the courts, but if I can't pay, I only get a jail escort. But it's funny because I would think that you would be happy when there's so many men that runs off on their kids. You should be thankful that I'm willing to be more than just a baby daddy, but a father and take care of my children, or be reduced to a sperm donor if I didn't. But it's cool because the pressure on me is heavy and I'm barely making it daily. But if greed is truly what you need to succeed, then do you. My child is not a walking cash machine, just a human being. You looking for child support and I'm trying to support child. That comes with love and a smile, meaningful time spent. When knowledge and wisdom is passed down, if you don't think that those qualities is good, then you never needed a baby father, just an ATM. So kids don't remember price, just time spent whenever. You looking for child support money that can burn, but I'll support child forever.
The history of child support. The United States government began legislating child support enforcement more than 100 years ago. The following timeline outlines the history of child support in the U.S., including laws and amendments that continue to impact fathers and their children's lives to this very day. 1910, the Uniform Desertion and Non-Support Act. The Uniform Desertion and Non-Support Act was approved by the National Conference of Commissions on the Uniform State Laws in 1910. It was initially adopted by 24 jurisdictions and made it a crime for husbands to willfully abandon or neglect to provide support for children under the age of 16. However, because the law didn't provide recourse for parents who left the jurisdiction, these parents frequently escaped justice by relocating to a jurisdiction that hadn't adopted the law. Now, let's fast forward to 1965. The Social Security Act Amendment, PL 89 through 97. This amendment allowed state and local agencies to secure privileged information from other state agencies regarding the mailing addresses and places of employment for individuals who owed child support under a court order. 1967, Social Security Act Amendment, PL 90 through 248. This amendment allowed the states to access information collected by Internal Revenue Service for the purpose of pursuing child support. At the same time, the federal government began requiring each state to create a means for establishing paternity and collecting child support on behalf of the children receiving assistance through AFDC. 1974, Social Security Act Amendment, PL 93 through 647. This amendment was technically signed into law in January 1975, so it's occasionally referred to as the Social Security Act Amendment of 1975. This amendment, 42 USC 651 ET SEQ, is also known as Title 4D because that portion of legislation, Title 4D, required states to establish their own individual child support collection agencies. While there are different types of child support cases, Title 4D cases are cases where child support collection is being facilitated through a state's Office of Child Support Enforcement as required by Social Security Act Amendment. The amendment also allowed states to receive funding and receive incentives for collecting child support in Title 4D cases. 1976, Social Security Act Amendment, PL 94 through 566. According to this amendment, state employment agencies are required to provide the residential addresses of non-custodial parents in Title 4D cases to state child support enforcement agencies. 1981, the Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1981. This amendment to Social Security Act authorized the Internal Revenue Services to withhold federal income tax refunds in cases where the recipient is delinquent in paying court-ordered child support. The same amendment allows states to withhold a portion of unemployment benefits for the same purpose and prevents child support payments from being discharged in bankruptcy proceedings. 1988, the Family Support Act of 1988, PL 100 through 485. This act allows states to garnish wages for the purpose of collecting child support and requires states to maintain clearly defined child support guidelines. 1992, the Child Support Recovery Act of 1992, PL 102 through 521. The Child Support Recovery Act allows states to prosecute parents who willfully choose not to pay child support. 1996, the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996. This law transformed the government assistance program, formerly known as Welfare, to our current program, titled Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. Some provisions in the law also directly impacted child support collections, including the creation of the Federal Case Registry of Child Support Orders, FCR, and a National Directory of New Hires for the purpose of child support cases and locating obligors. The law also streamlined the process of establishing paternity, allowing biological fathers to voluntarily acknowledge paternity. 1998, the Deadbeat Parent Punishment Act. This supplement to Child Support Recovery Act, CSRA of 1992, increased the consequences for parents who willfully choose not to pay child support. According to the Deadbeat Parent Punishment Act, a parent can accrue fines up to $10,000 and face up to 2 years in prison for failing to pay child support to a child who resides in another state.
Just got some amazing work done with the CEO and owner of Now Productions. She got the family and friends here. Start with you, King, Jonathan. How you feel about child support? Is it needed in our community?
I just feel like at the end of the day, we really need to come together as a family and be able to take care of each other. So we don't need the help of any outside organizations or anybody else. I really feel like at the end of the day, it's set up in order to get black men into the system and be able to give the ones who really wouldn't be in jail time. So I don't think it's needed at all.
No doubt. What about the fathers that's not participating, as far as the so-called deadbeats, they call them?
I think at the end of the day, if they're going to be deadbeats, they're going to be deadbeats. Whether we got child support or not, they're just going to be deadbeats.
Right.
To make somebody step up and be a man.
Got you. So that's an individual choice. Now, Kenita, we already touched on it, but I guess you can touch on the subject again on child support.
Well, like I told you before, I just feel like if it's forced, it's not needed. I just don't feel like we have to have a law to force you into doing something that you should be obligated to do. It's your responsibility to do. It's not just on the woman. At the end of the day, we are going to always take care of our children to the best of our ability, and it should be equal. Both parents should share the equal responsibility. In the event it's forced to have the law or someone tell you have to pay this certain amount, I feel like at the end of the day it's just not needed, especially a child support payment or check cannot cover night sweats, fevers in the middle of the night,
right,
homework, times where, especially with a son, no one can teach a man how to be a man like a man.
Okay. You new to the whole project and all that. You can state your name and tell you how you, basically your opinion on the topic child support.
Kelly DeBerry, and my opinion on this is like, that Yeah, child support, I feel like, I don't know what to say.
Just be raw and keep it in.
Is it needed? It's okay.
I feel like it's not really needed. It should be something that they should want to do.
Right.
They shouldn't have to be forced to do anything. If they don't want to be in that child's life, then that's really like on them.
That's on them. So basically,
That's their law.
their judgment to come eventually.
Yeah. They
doubt.
assume the wish that they did was like they didn't want to be in their life and stuff like that because that's just how I feel about it. They don't wish they wanted to be in their child's life and stuff, and they just missed out on it.
No doubt.
Kids grow up to be great.
Absolutely. You got a lot of fatherless children out there, ball players, people doing amazing things, doctors, lawyers, etc., and they missed out on that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
absolutely.
They be in their life, not trying to come in it when they're succeeding.
I appreciate your input. Thank you. What's going on, Queen? How you feel about it? Is child support needed? No?
Guys, I mean, you want to have a baby, so take care of it.
That's right. That's simple. You hear it now. You're going to have that baby, you need to take care of it. That's right. Man up. What's going on, King? What's your opinion on it?
I feel like the system making you pay child support is just like it's babysitting you the legal way. You know what I'm saying? You're not obligated to take care of your child, but it's right. So try to make you do it.
No doubt.
Don't do it, you end up in jail. But I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, you have to accountable for the child.
That's
So
right.
step up to the plate, whether somebody make you do it or whether you have to do it yourself.
No doubt.
Child support.
Accountability. Facts. What's going on, sis? What's your piece on it?
I agree with everyone said. I am a bit biased on that situation. I do feel like women take on so many roles, and I understand that two people lay down and accept the responsibility of bringing life into the world. I do feel that in some cases, some women struggle. Some people do, a woman's gonna
Absolutely.
get it done by all means, with or without help. But I do believe that it helps not only the parent but the child as well. When sometimes you have to just get a little extra help from the government to say, hey, if you don't take care of your
Right.
child, then we're gonna have to force you to. And although you have fathers that would rather take the risk of not paying and getting locked up versus parents that say, hey, let's work together, we can't co-parent, so this is how we'll do it. So I'm a bit biased in the situation.
Gotcha.
I think that in some situations it's needed, and a lot of situations it's not, as long as you're able to co-parent.
I appreciate your input, no doubt. That's what's up. What's going on, sis?
So I think, of course, I'm biased. I do look at it from a different perspective than everyone else. I actually co-parent and have a father that's on child support. I think it's interesting that, especially in our community, we have such a negative connotation on what we think child support is. We forget about the people that actually sit down and say, hey, we can co-parent, but I think I can pay this and I can do this, and we just are going to have a legal way to say, hey, this is what you're going to pay. We don't even discuss the payment that's going on. So,
Right.
we're good. He is there for his child. He's not a deadbeat. He doesn't resent me for child support, and we handle it like that. So it's
That's
not
cool.
always,
Ugly all the time.
yeah, it's not always the ugly side. And we also forget about the mothers who pay child support. The fathers. that pay
Right.
their
It goes
kids.
both ways. Right.
Yeah, so I don't agree with a woman forcing, and I don't agree with a woman keeping her child away because a man is
That's
not,
cool.
financially there for their child. So I'm just kind of.
But I think, I ain't saying child support is a way to make the child make the father take care of the child. Child support for support, don't rely on it. Don't this nigga can't do this for the baby. The child support, you know what I'm saying? You still gotta keep your child up. Y'all still gotta do what y'all can do.
I
With or
definitely-
without the child support.
I definitely think one big point too is we gotta remember that child support doesn't replace the time that's spent with the child.
Exactly.
That's right.
I think a lot of times we get so caught up and so lost in, oh, you're not paying this amount and this amount, and that a lot of times that amount doesn't equate to anything.
Right.
They can't even buy 3 or 4 pairs of jeans for
That's
them.
right. That's
But
right.
to have that time with that child means everything. So you
Priceless.
have a lot of fathers out here who can't make a lot of money, who can't get out here and really you know, and really take care of the child monetary, but they can take care of them with time.
Right.
And a lot of mothers use that child support as, oh, you're not doing this, so you can't get that time with my child.
Right.
And then two, you have a lot of fathers who don't have the ability to pay that money. They get locked up, and now they have a strike against them, or they have something on their record to where now they can't go out and get a job. It's harder for them to continue to get a job.
Right.
So I really feel like child support, in a lot of situations, it makes it a whole lot worse, and it puts that father farther and farther behind. In some situations, it's needed. In some situations, it just makes it a whole lot worse. So I think we have to get back to realizing that time is needed more so than that money. Because if that father's around, he can teach that kid, you know, invaluable lessons. You know, especially a boy. When you have mothers raising a boy, even a daughter, you have a lot of girls out here that that's living, you know, reckless. If they had a father in their life, it would be a whole lot better for them. They would know a whole lot more, you know, when they come up. So I think that time is needed more so than anything else. We definitely.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I even been in a situation, you know, I'm gonna always keep it raw with you and keep it
Right. 100. Right.
As my son would say, a buck. I just feel like for me, it's the very last resort.
Right.
Because from $25 to $100 to $300, it still doesn't take the place of time spent,
Right.
communication. When a child wakes up in the morning for school, hope you have a blessed day, son.
Right.
Good night, son. Come over here with homework. And there's so many ways that you can co-parent. There's so many ways. I may not be able to take my child to the basketball practice because I have to work. Well, be a team with me.
Right.
So the money, the actual money issue is not really like sometimes always the issue because I can be financially stable to do everything on my own, but we need physical help.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's absent parent.
Yep.
The key word, absent parent.
Yep.
So 9 times out of 10, when you're applying for child support, they call you the absent parent. Anyway,
Right.
you want to carry that role of the absent parent. I think, you know what, before I get that label as an absent parent, whether no matter how I'm actually physically or in my child's life, a man should never want to be labeled the absent parent.
Right.
Say it better myself.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, let's get right to it, man.
Okay.
Child support. What's the first thoughts that come to your mind when you hear child support?
Drama.
Mm.
Drama. That's the first word that comes to my head because, you know, a lot of people don't understand that child support doesn't really support the child. It supports the government that the child is a part of. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, child support should just be co-parenting. You know, it should be, you know, a relationship between a mom and dad. That's it. You know, it shouldn't involve the government. So when you get to a place where you're using child support, and a lot of people don't even recognize that you don't even get all of those funds. You get a small portion of whatever the woman or man is paying for child support. The parent that's receiving it
Right.
gets a small portion.
So, and that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So, if I'm sending out a $200 payment to my child's mother, she doesn't get that full $200.
No, she may get 85
Wow.
of that.
And a lot of people are not aware of that.
Right.
So, where is that rest of that other money, portion of that money going?
They charging you fees for
Mm.
the counselor, the mediator, or whoever's you know over that case.
Right.
You know, they're charging a fee for just having child support, and you know, they got all kinds of loopholes
Right.
to be able to take percentages of that money. But just know that the parent does not get the full $200. If you paying $200, they don't get that $200.
So the system is basically like nothing is free. So
Nothing's free.
we're charging you for our services to babysit your relationship or mediate you grown folks. So we got to charge you. You're gonna have to pay for that.
Right, not even the relationship, the well-being of the
Child.
which they shouldn't have to do, you know, because if you have peace between two parents and they're able to co-parent together, that means when you pay $200 to her or him, they're getting $200,
Right.
you know.
And It's so crazy, man. Because I've been in situations where guys be like, I talked to my child's mother and she know I'm a good dad, and she know I'll send the money without the pressure of the system. So why do the woman feel like a need to keep the system involved?
Well, and this is not bashing women. I just say women because 98.5% of the time it's a woman putting a man on child support.
Most of the time, correct.
So now a lot of women do that because either the man is not doing what he's supposed to in the beginning, or either something happened emotionally.
Facts.
Where they want to kind of use child support as a vindictive weapon.
True.
You cannot necessarily be charged or credited to any responsibilities without having rights to the child, because there's a thing called maternity and paternity rights. And paternity rights are extremely difficult to establish.
Break both down, please.
Maternity rights basically means, to sum it up, that she has the right to do what she feels with that child within legal constraint.
That's maternity or paternity?
Maternity.
Okay.
She has the right to deny you seeing that child any given time if your paternity rights are not established.
Okay.
If your paternity rights are not established, which means A, you were not married when this child was born.
Yep.
You are not recognized as the father.
Okay.
Because the state deals with science, biology. They know the child belongs to the mother because it came out of her.
Can
literally.
they still hold you responsible for him?
Only if you sign the birth certificate.
No.
That's a whole nother topic.
Because now I know.
Should we sign the birth certificate?
It doesn't. In the state of North Carolina, that doesn't even matter.
Wow.
Because
now,
this
why
is
did
what
you
I
say
had
that?
to
What
learn.
did you find out? Yes, please.
What I found out
educate
is that
us on
when,
that.
as the fathers, once again, they're using biology to make their laws.
Right.
In this topic, I don't know.
So it don't matter if you sign the shit.
No.
If you with her ass.
No. Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you are not married to this woman, you are not under any contractual agreement that these children belong to you. So therefore, the only way to establish paternity rights in the state of North Carolina is to literally be able to have proof of responsibility of the child. And the only way to get proof of responsibility of the child is by having a DNA test to prove that that is your child. That is the only way. And once you have a DNA test, guess what the law in North Carolina says? Well, if we're going to put you on child support, you have to have a DNA test. So if you take that DNA test, you're getting put on child support. Period.
False.
If it's not your child, the DNA test proves that. That's where your rights come in.
Okay, here's my question. I'm gonna be a duality for women's rights. For women's rights. Okay. Yeah, she laid. Now she went and got the DNA test and you guilty as charged.
Saying that the child is
it's your baby.
Okay.
It's your baby. Do you feel obligated at that point? Not you, just man himself.
You should.
He should. But a lot do not.
That's why I say some things are left to choice.
Let me get my Tootsie. Okay. And so a lot of men do not. They were like it was just a piece of pussy.
That's
and
their
so
fault.
I know this. So then the woman is sitting back here with a child to raise.
Yeah.
With no no rights. No.
She does have rights.
What I'm saying is this is where it come from. At first, she's sitting right here. She got these babies. Okay, we fuck. You fuck too. You got your nut. I got my nut too.
That's where.
And now we made a baby. Wait a minute. Can I talk? Stop. And so a lot of men done really scapegoated on this shit for, throughout the beginning of time. And so these women are left to try to take care of these kids, and so they come up with a system to do it called child support. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I'm
agreeing with you. I understand. So the good man gets sucked into the system the same way the bad man do. You know what I'm saying? But there has to be a system of adherence because people don't do what the fuck they're supposed to do.
So Peter plays for Paul.
And government still has to be government. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
But the
Y'all
problem
can't govern
is,
yourselves. We got to govern you.
we have to govern
that's
for
up
you.
to that man though, because
Yeah,
every man
but
isn't the
it's so
same.
it's so many that have made the good man look bad.
Facts.
That's
You know
then
what
we
I'm
need to
saying?
start whooping their ass.
And it's because of a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons is the infamous Judge Mathis. He is known for saying in his courthouse his own opinion and perspective of child support. That it is not the choice, not up to the custodial parent whether or not they should file for child support. It is their right and their duty as a custodial parent to file the child support on behalf of that child, because these kids need to eat, okay? And they deserve to have a roof over their head, and they shouldn't be penalized because two adults couldn't work their issues out, and the child doesn't deserve the domino effect of that. And so I understand the idea, and I respect the idea of the child support system, but the reality of it is that it is a flawed system. It's a flawed system because it doesn't take into effect the actual efforts that certain people make, that certain non-custodial parents make to have a relationship with their child and to reconcile their differences with the custodial parent, and that it's unsuccessful. They don't take into account the morality of human beings and human nature. Those things are not taken into account with the idea or the enactment of the child support system, and that's for that reason I feel like it doesn't work. I'm 33 years old. I was born and raised in Oakland, California, which is the hometown of the founding group Black Panthers. And I only say that just because, I always got to show some love and drop a historical fact about my life and where I've come from. That's just something that I do. That's, if you know me on a personal level, I'm weird like that. So yes, I'm from Oakland, California. And by the time I was 20 years old, I had experienced a lot of life traumas or life experiences that many 50 and 60-year-old people have yet to this day had to overcome and survive. And with those life experiences, it's aged me beyond physical years. I feel like I'm a very wise person. I've always been told I'm an old soul, and I feel like my life experiences and the ways that I observe and pay attention to life, I'm very well versed and life gamed. And so this is the place that I'm speaking from when I record this video. It's from that perspective. I grew up with a lot of young ladies, and grew up with some men who were placed on child support and some of the women who filed it, and so I have an insight from both perspectives of why the child support system doesn't work. The idea of it is great. The reality of it is not so great. When I had a kid, a guy that I grew up with since I was 10 years old, and we kept in contact over the years, and by the time we were 19 years old, he had already had about 4 kids. And one of the women he was involved with, in an effort to be vindictive, because this is a woman who didn't like that he was very popular with the ladies, that he had moved on from their relationship and had started a new relationship and family with someone else. And in a fit of vindictive anger, she filed a child support claim against him. And not only did she file a child support claim, she did things to prevent him from being able to spend time with his son. She would tell lies or, schedule dates for him to come pick up his child. But then when he went, other things came up that prevented him from being able to spend time with his son.
So he got to a place in his life where he felt like, you know what, this ain't worth it. I'm already cashing out all of my, over 50% of my dang on paycheck to her. I mean, I don't want to have a relationship with my son. Now, mind you, we were 19 when this conversation was had, and I had a strong negative opinion about him because of that. Him venting his honest to God feelings about a life circumstance that he couldn't control. The older I got, the more I realized that I didn't have a right to be irritated with him because I wasn't walking in his shoes. I wasn't going through or facing a situation where my hard-earned money is going to someone else's pockets who don't like me, who don't want me to have a part of my child's life. I wasn't walking in shoes, so I couldn't understand or empathize with him. But now I understand. I get it. Because I had friends, and this is how life taught me a lesson. Because then I had female friends who did the exact same thing that my male friends, female, did to him. When my certain female friends that I dealt with, when their men moved on in another relationship, they didn't want that man to be happy because he didn't dog me, he didn't cheated on me, he didn't beat me, he didn't put me down, he didn't hold me back in life, and now he get to move on and go be happy with somebody else. Let me file this child support case and show him who really running things. And so in that regard, the child support was used as a way to disempower the non-custodial parent and was used in an effort to abuse the authority or the power of the custodial parent. And these are the vindictive people, the women that are vindictive, manipulative, and devious in their actions. So regardless of child support, regardless of any opportunity that came to them where they can get some money out of somebody else at someone else's expenses, they was going to do it. And child support was just another avenue for these particular people.
I'm out here with my brother, the Haitian warlord, Lamo Desna, representing that Hill TV brand, Liberate Kings.
Liberate Kings.
Yes, sir.
We do it.
We're going to talk about a very important topic tonight, Support Your Child documentary. Yeah. Is child support needed in our community, brother?
Is child support needed? That's a good question. Well, that's not a hard question to answer. I don't think so. I want to say yes and no. I want to say, first to start off with yes, because there's a lot of deadbeat fathers out there.
Right.
And let's not get it twisted, there's a lot of deadbeat moms out there.
That's right.
I have a situation with my daughter's mom when I actually had her on child support. And then because, she was pretty much absent for years. You know what I'm saying? I have custody of my daughter since 2007. And, she was pretty much absent and wasn't really there at all.
Wow.
No support, holidays, Thanksgiving, nothing, man. Birthdays, nothing.
Wow.
What I mean? So, but then she started popping back up again or whatever, and they started building again. I let them have their thing. But I think to answer your question, man, I ended up taking her off too, just to finish that thought. But I would say yes, because of the deadbeat parents that are out there.
Right, on both sides.
On both sides. You know what I'm saying? Because you have a lot of younger people, and the younger generation especially. I would say they all age, but predominantly now, in this day and age, a younger crowd, because a lot of them, based on what society is giving them today, they're not getting the proper training of what manhood is like, what womanhood is like. You know what I'm saying? What morality and ethics is. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
They're not getting the values of life that we got growing up.
Right.
What our parents got growing up. So we're getting further and further away from the true values of life, the essence of what we're supposed to possess within ourselves to pass down to the next generation. So instead of talking about love and how I'm going to build you up and keep you close to my rib, you know what I'm saying? Call you young prince, young princess, king, queen, you know what I'm saying? Building each other up, liberating.
Right,
you know what
right, facts.
So instead of liberating, we talking about the money, the sex, the drugs. We talk about what's given on TV, what social media gives us, and just what's going on in our world, which are all the negatives. That's all that's promoted. You know what I'm saying? So nobody's equipped right now. I ain't gonna say nobody, but a lot of the younger folks, a lot of the people that are not walking in that calling as a father or as a mother, are not equipped for it, so they run from it. You know what I'm saying? So for them, yeah, I would say it's needed. Straight up, no malice intended, is needed for some people because we need to be held to a certain accountability.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? To be able to, if this is what we did, own up to it.
Own up to it. That's right. That was a very good point, man. Especially, I like when you brought up we're getting away from the core values of generation-wise to when we was growing up until now. Even before us, mothers in the 60s, 70s wouldn't dare run to no court. They back back then, it was more built on, I'm not getting the system involved inside our kingdom. You know, I had this child, this is my child, you know what I'm saying? He's out there running, doing what he's doing, but I'm not getting nobody else involved in my affairs. And back then it was more, you know, more honorable back then and more. Don't get me wrong now, you know, a lot of mothers struggle by taking that attitude because a lot of fathers out there wasn't owning up in the drugs, and a lot of stuff played an effect on that as well. You know, hitting our community being an epidemic. But the values and the culture was way different, man, than it is now. And is it me, or there's a lot of more mothers not taking care of their kids like back when we was coming up? Is it me, or is that true?
That's true. That's absolute facts. You know, and like I said, like my daughter, man, my daughter, she's 16 now. Like I said, I've had her since 2007. You know. And when I ended up getting custody of her mom just disappeared and dropped
wow.
her godmom's house.
Whoa.
So, and it's not, you know, because it all ends well.
Right,
I can
right.
Talk about it, you know what I'm saying?
So
because
you are a single father?
Yes. You know, I was a single father for a couple years.
Wow.
After I ended up getting her.
Salute.
Yeah, man, no doubt, bro. But I've had her since 2007 custody. You know what I'm saying? And but yeah, so her godmom called me up and said, hey, you know, look, Limo, mom disappeared, whatever. We can't find her. Nobody knows what's going on, whatever. I said, all right, cool. I'll be down there and I get her. Did that, man. Came up. Honestly, it was my biggest fear to raise a daughter because I know how I was growing up.
Right.
You know, I know how I was a little whore. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and
right.
I was out there.
As we all are being young men chasing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you know, we got to test the ground.
Right,
you know
right.
So in doing that, my biggest fear, honestly, bro, was, damn, I got a daughter. You know, you reap what you sow. I've had a lot of hearts in my days.
Right,
I've
right.
back on a lot of people. I've
right.
people. I've done this and I've done that, 2 or 3 at a time. It was
right,
mess, right. But growing up, though, man, and when I had my daughter, it changed my perspective, though, as a father. And maybe that might help other people. You know what I'm saying?
It's good stuff.
Is my thing now.
Mm-hmm.
So as a father, man, what I learned was it's our job to help them make it make sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever the issue is, we come to them, we study that issue if we have to. If we don't already know it, we take that moment to study that issue. Give the best answer you can, but come back and correct whatever wrong you said. But we study the issues that they're concerned about or that they need to know about. And then we go back, and based on the way that your child learns and understands things, we had to take this stuff, you know what I'm saying, and pretty much reformat the way that you're going to give it to them. That way they'll understand it and they'll make it make sense. Like my daughter, for example, since she's been like 8 years old, bro, I've been talking to her at 8. I was talking to her like she was about 11.
Wow.
Kind of giving her a little bit ahead of
right,
her time.
Right.
I was helping her make it make sense.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like I just kept building with her, and as time went along, she kept getting older and older. Every year, I just give her a little bit more meat, a little bit more meat, a little bit more meat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like now she's to the point. She's 16. She tell me everything.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
Just developing that bond and that relationship, and giving her feeding. You was feeding her soul, actually. You was feeding her soul, and
I just gave her love. And
that's
trust.
great. That's great.
Love and trust, man. On top of that, you got to give them that love. You got to embrace them. You got to smother them with love. It don't matter if they don't feel like it or not.
That's good.
Bear hug them and, you know, rest them to the ground.
That's
and
good.
Want them, kiss on them, just smother them with love, man. That's what we need nowadays.
I think so, and you know, love to the children, and just a good foundation understanding between husband and wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend, and as young men, being that, like you said, being a male whore, which a lot of us start out to be due to lack of education of self. We need to start valuing our seed, just like we preach to our daughters that you know, just because you're a man, you don't have to be out there going crazy, because you need to be very selective of who you procreate with, because who we procreate with will change your life forever. So be careful who you shared your seed with. Well, come on now, let's come on now, let's talk, because who we share our seed with will determine how far you gonna go in life, how big your blood pressure gonna be. Come on now, you know, because we have to really start doing background checks now. You know, where's your family from? Where's your lineage come from? Because our genetics and our DNA might not mesh well. It's real.
Steve is a trip. I need to touch up your color on your next page.
Look who the cat done drug in.
Hello, man.
Hello, sir.
Where's my son? I want to see my son.
Your son. Well, you know he's at my grandmother's house.
So I can't go to your grandmother's house to see my son?
You can't go to my grandmother's house to see our son. You can't.
I just want to see my son. I got him something.
After a whole year has gone past, you want to see your son. You probably just want to carry him on your taxes, huh?
I mean, you got 3. You put 2 on your taxes. I would like to put my son on my taxes. That would be nice.
3 that I take care of. All 3 of them. I take care of them. You do nothing. He want to do something with his son today. You want your son today?
I just want to see my son. I got him something.
He got him something.
About time.
He got him something, y'all. What's his favorite color?
Girl, this is about to be good.
Black. Black. Blue. What's his favorite food?
Chicken.
How about steak?
I bought my son something. I just want to see my son.
You bought your son something. He bought his son something, y'all. Let's see what he got. The father of the year bought his son something. Size small. Well, guess what? He wears a large. You come up here talking about taxes. You probably want to show him to get a girlfriend.
I'm trying. I just want to see my son. I'm trying.
Do I need to call the police? No, don't call the police. I have this. You need to get out. Better yet, I got something for you. Watch this. Hey, honey. Hi. Guess what? He's a deadbeat dad. He does not take care of his kids. You need to run. And run far away. You need to get out of my shop. Get out of my shop.
I'm trying. I just want to see my son.
You don't. Get out. I do everything by myself. Get out.
That's mad for you.
I'm so sorry. I didn't see this.
That's alright. You don't have to apologize.
Do you think a lot of things could be prevented before the woman goes down to court and file them papers on her baby father? If it was better communication between man and woman? What causes child support?
Nah, it is a sense of miscommunication in a sense, but I don't know. In our community, you know what? We're gonna go to the root of the problem, man. It's a lot of females that didn't grow up with their father, so they don't know how to come at a man and address a man. They don't know how the household is really supposed to be raised and brought about. Like, in all actuality, it's the woman that holds the household together.
Absolutely.
Feel me? So when a man have a baby, it's already pressure on him. He probably like, damn, I ain't really working. I gotta do this. I gotta do better. I gotta do more.
Especially being a black man.
Yeah, exactly. He might have felonies for whatever reasons. Like, you know, he's going through what he's going through, and then he come home. She might be in his ear. This, that. We need this, that. And he already dwelling on that, and
the mental.
Yeah, you know, it might make the situation worse. They break up, and then you know, the
So
child
do you
support
think
and all that comes into play.
being encouraged by a woman, especially through times like if they was taught, like you said, a lot of home households, a lot of our sisters and especially black women are being grown up in, they're not taught how to really, you know what I'm saying, operate in the household and how culturally to bring the man and woman and the child all together. So right, the family setting. So you think if that was the opposite, it'd be less people on child support and less of us going through being in the court system?
I mean, it probably wouldn't even be dudes on child support because the communication would be there. Like, you know, you could do things cordial. We're gonna raise this kid. We're gonna be a family in that aspect because you got a kid with a woman. That's your family. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it don't matter how you look at it. I don't like her. She did this. He did that. That's your family.
Right.
So once you come to that understanding and you know that, you come at family different. I'm not saying family won't, you know, mess you over at the end of the day.
Right.
But like that's your family. You understand what I'm saying? Like I'm on child support now. I don't have a problem with it. I still do for my son on the back end.
That's
Take
dope.
him out, buy him
The extras and all that.
clothes,
Right.
Ask him what he want. He want Xbox Live. I gotta get it for him when I get back to New York. But I still do for my son. And in a lot of cases prior to that, like me and his mother really didn't get along. Now we cool as a breeze. I'm about
That's
to get
dope.
him this shit.
You know what? It's so crazy. The court don't care about that.
Nah,
As far as the extras and all that, they just want us to treat them like a bill. As long as the bill's paid, we don't care if you're being a father or not. That's cool. As long as the obligation is made. So that's the crazy part about it. So they really don't care about the child. It's the money.
I've been on child support for my oldest son 4 times. Like she was bitter back in the days for whatever reasons. I don't really want to get into that. I don't know if she's gonna see this or not. But 4 times for my oldest son, and I go to court. I get printouts of all the receipts I got, money orders I gave her
Documentation,
throughout years. And I went to present it to the judge. Judge said, "What is this?" I told him what it was. So I don't need that. It's your son. It's what you're supposed to do. I'm like, damn, I spent $50 to put everything together.
Right.
It was laminated.
They don't care
and
about
the plastic.
that.
I want to see that. So it don't even make sense to like bring in receipts and none of that.
Does not matter.
It makes sense at the end of the day. That's your kid. This is what you're supposed
Right.
to do. So what are you bringing the receipts for? You trying to prove to me that you're being a parent?
Right.
Just be a
That's
parent.
what you're supposed to do.
I mean,
Yep.
this is your responsibility.
That's a good point.
So I don't like, you know, that was my 3rd time. My 4th time she took me in, she told me. And I was just like, all right, cool.
Right.
Just let me know when you feeling it. I'll go, we handle it.
Right.
She took me out for drinks after. Let's go get
Right.
a couple drinks. I'm like, all right, it's the least you could do, Rich. Like, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's a problem, man. Me and her good money right now, and
You got any advice for any deadbeat moms, deadbeat dads out there?
deadbeat mothers, that's kind of crazy because y'all get all the fundings and everything like that.
Waste my time, listen to his lies. I'll just do this on my own. 15% of people who are paying child support are women. That is kind of shocking for me. I thought maybe 5%. I wouldn't have said the whole 15%. But, you know, hey, that just lets you guys know this is not just a gender thing. Women pay child support too. And women are behind on child support. And the same situations happen with women too. You got $113 billion in unpaid child support. So you have $113 billion of unpaid child support. But that leads into the whole point of having 30% of people who apply for child support never getting anything because there's $113 billion out there of unpaid child support. They used to pay child support, get your wages garnished. Most people know that. Asset seized, most people know that too. Credit bureau reporting. Yeah, they will report your ass to the credit bureau and that'll make your credit score look horrible. So good luck on that loan. Driving license being suspended. So good luck with those tickets because you get pulled over for driving on a suspended license, you go to jail, get your car towed, you gotta go to court. More money out your pocket. passport denial. You like to travel, going out the country, and you're behind on child support, you might as well kiss that shit goodbye because it ain't going to happen. Withholding unemployment and jail time. So, those are just a few things that can, well, I don't know if that's everything, but that's just what I've seen that could happen to you if you don't pay whatever the court ordered you to pay. So it is important that you make those payments. It is important that before you lay down with someone, you ask yourself, are you ready to have a child out of wedlock and you're not in that home? But you have to somewhat support that home because your kid is in there. You have to ask yourself that. And I just say, if you're an adult, you shouldn't need a third party to tell you what you need to pay and how you need to be an adult and how you need to take care of your responsibilities. Now you're dealing with a child because you have women that do it because they do need the help. And no, it is not right that you're living the life and your child is living in poverty because you're worried about, well, the mother might benefit from this money. That's not important. What is important that your child is living as comfortable as you are. So I just say you shouldn't really need a third party to come in and say, oh, you both are grown, but you got to pay this, because let's not let it get that far. I understand that some women go for child support to get back at the man because he's moved on, new relationship and the whole nine. But hopefully when you're not dealing with that situation, you can actually have two adults that can come to some type of agreement where they don't need a third party telling them what they should and should not be paying. So with that being said, I'm finna be out of here because the last thing I did, it was so long I couldn't even get it sent in. So that's just my little, time talking about the situation. Pay the child support. Be an adult. Don't go through the hassle because it's way more things that will open up out of this outside of going to jail or being behind owing a lot of money. So peace and love. Pay your child support. Matter of fact, be a man, be a woman. Don't let it get that far. Peace.
My motivation, fam. This is what makes me do what I'm doing. I'm the man. I'm designed by nature to not really give a fuck. My job is my job.
Absolutely.
Why do I give a motherfuck what anybody else got to say? I don't give a damn what number you want, because I feel the same way. I'm not even giving a number right now because it's a battle over the rights. So I have to give myself a number, right?
Your role.
But at the end of the day, am I supposed to just say,
I love that from you, B.
if she wants this number from me, I gotta pay that and I'm good? Alright, cool. No, because what are you gonna do? You'll pay the number and then you're gonna think.
You're still gonna be a daddy.
Check this out. What happens when I go in the store? I'll be like, yo, I'm just getting a shirt. I'm getting some socks. I'm gonna just get these shoes. And the next thing I know, I done bought 3. Oh, shit.
That's my nigga right there.
But hear me out, though, right?
Yeah,
I done walked in the store and I said, I'm gonna just get this shirt. I'm gonna get these socks.
But I see a coat
Pampers. Yo, this coat fly as fuck. Yo, these shoes. And next thing I know, I'm...
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, I'm like, yo, I did my thing, yo. This thing, I'm taking pictures of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo,
that's daddy right there, baby. It's daddy right there.
That's not no shit. That's what I be talking about. That European shit. Them taught motherfuckers that they men that we not supposed to address our own emotions. We can't even be happy.
But
we're not even allowed to be happy in this United States.
That's because of the court system.
That's not the court system. It's the police state. Fuck the police state.
Well,
that was instated here when we got here. This ain't no new rules.
So why are we doing it? And if you don't do it, what happened to you?
What did
if you don't do it, what happened to you?
What did the European do to us, fam? Shit, they took our men and got the fuck out of here.
And then they make you pay to be a man.
Fuck that. You gonna do that anyway.
Nah,
Is you not?
Yeah, but
are you not gonna provide the house, the car, the whip, the clothes? So you're gonna pay any motherfucking way.
Yeah, you're gonna pay anyway, but now they make it a law.
I got a question.
Anyway.
I got a question to throw out there, fellas.
What happens the week you can't?
The week you can't, you just gotta deal with whatever the fuck you deal with.
From your woman, but now it's from the law.
You fucked up.
Who fucked? Yeah, but now she has the option. No, but here's the point. You're missing the point. The point is that she has the option to run to the law now, and the law dictates.
But we have the same option.
But it holds you as criminal. It holds you as criminal.
Yes, it does.
It holds you as criminal now.
He wants to speak.
Now
it holds you as criminal.
It's his documentary.
No. No, we good. I'm loving the dialogue.
I'm just hearing you, and I like.
No, he good. It's more.
Does the deadbeat?
Fuck the deadbeat.
The deadbeat statement. You know that statement been thrown around for years.
The deadbeat deserve what
Now
he deserves.
does that go for both sides, man and woman?
Yep. Yes, it
that
does.
term.
Yes, it
now
does.
speak on that.
Yes, it does.
Why? Break down why. Yes, it does.
Calm it down. Why did the deadbeat go back and forth?
That statement or that label.
Well,
Right.
it's not a heater
Hold
to.
on. Because I want to understand what everybody's
Okay,
talking
yo.
about.
The deadbeat as far as the
Is
man
it just
that
for
don't-
men?
that
Is that
don't take
label
care of
just
kids
on men?
and women that don't take care of kids, both aspects, and we dealing from whether it's child support or non-child support. But they are deadbeat women. But see, the mindset of women in America, especially black women, is that we not deadbeats. That
You
we
ever heard of
can't.
Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah, here's the thing. I kidnapped you and you love me, or whatever the fuck this shit.
I want you to speak on Stockholm syndrome, exactly what that is after he
Okay.
his joint came.
And it's like we get held to a standard, and we supposed to actually provide for women and children, and a woman don't want to provide at all. It's like even if she don't want to get out here and grind and do her thing, we still held accountable for her.
Now going back to nature,
the man
natural,
wise,
a woman ain't supposed to do that, right?
No.
What's the
If
science
you really want
on
to go back to the science,
So you
of the thing,
disagree with what I'm saying right
Yeah,
now?
I disagree with what
Naturally,
you're saying.
that's supposed
Naturally,
to be king and queen out in the woods going to kill that
No,
buffalo
actually,
together.
the king stayed home and the woman hunted.
Really?
Only the lion
Yeah.
did that shit.
No, that's
So,
not true.
the-
It's not just
What
the
tribe
lions.
done did that?
That's like the whole science behind you drink milk. It's the whole science.
Really?
All tribes have done this in nature.
So the woman hunts and the man protects home. Is that
The man
what you're
protects
telling
home,
me?
absolutely, because the woman could not protect
So
home.
what happened to the nurturing and the home and the
After a
child
child
care and
reaches
all
a
that?
certain age, after a child
That's
reaches a certain
Western
age, no, sir,
Not what you're talking about when
no,
you
sir.
speak
After a child reaches a certain age, the woman is only taking them so far from
Absolutely,
nursing. From
absolutely.
nursing. After a child
Right.
finishes nursing,
We take the most vital. Well, no, both
after
of them
a
are vital.
child
Both
is
of them
finished
vital.
nursing,
Right.
and there's knowledge that needs to be instilled, the life knowledge comes from the man.
Right. Where the leadership.
And
Absolutely.
that ain't got nothing to do. It ain't got nothing to do with the hunting, gather bullshit. And that's just science of life. That's why most of these women run around here with these kids that can't handle them. When they get to adulthood, they seeking their daddies.
Right.
But that's nature.
That's nature.
It's nature. The nature is that the man makes the rules, and while these
So you
children
tell
out
me
here-
women need to be out here working just as men.
if
You
not
agree
be
with
hum-
that?
If not, be humble to the science.
Can I elaborate?
If not, be humble to the science.
Okay.
Can I elaborate on what you're speaking on?
Absolutely, mama.
Where that come from, where the confusion on it is in our generations.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, because
It
it is.
goes back to that man being removed in our particular denomination. And where that comes from is that motherfuckers don't. That's why I said you can't be the same as that dude that I met at the mall, because everybody ain't had a father, so they don't even have an example to follow from. So they don't know.
But that's
any better.
Europeanization.
That's not all the way Europeanization, because I don't know if I said it right, but
I made that word up. That's some Don King shit.
we make shit black.
They go G freestyle.
But it's not all the way because
that wasn't our nature. That was never our nature.
this alpha,
That was never our
and
nature.
omega, and betas.
We held down 4 wives, five
And-
kingdoms.
But
that was never our
every
nature.
nigga? Did every nigga have 4 or 5 wives? bro?
No, but the ones that did,
No.
the ones that didn't, were still held to the same accountability, man.
Fam.
Nah.
Is
telling me
is
there's
monogamy our way?
No.
Is monogamy supposed to be our way?
It's African American.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Go ahead.
Is
monogamy supposed to be our way? No.
I ain't speaking on that. I'm speaking on question. I'm sorry.
He just
No,
said
check it
4
out.
wives. Go ahead,
No.
King. Go ahead, elaborate.
My thing is to just get off that right quick, right? Where niggas had 4 wives, but we had tribes, right? The tribes accept the weak nigga.
Would they make them strong?
Not every tribe. I don't believe every tribe would, because some tribes would not allow that weak nigga to reproduce.
Nah, I disagree.
Now that, bro, that even happens today. Every woman is not going to reproduce with just any nigga.
I understand. And they're not supposed to, but
They're supposed to see strength.
They are.
Yeah, they
You
are.
a beta male that's getting chopped around and beat on by other niggas, and you just calling on some shit like, man, as long as I got them, get the fuck.
Man?
Huh? Yes.
In this society.
In every society, we're animals, bro. We pray.
Yeah, I understand this, but I just think it's different, man. I do. I think it's
but
different.
The world's tough though, fam.
I think even the weakest nigga could be a goddamn general.
He could be that nigga.
He could be a general in
he
his
could
job.
be that nigga, but it takes a certain type of people to want to do that. Every motherfucking tribe of people is not going to sit there and make that.
It's very important to show the younger kings. Just don't be worried about what, you know what I'm saying?
You had outside. Hold on. I'm sorry. I gotta say this. And younger niggas, if you box your homie, that's your real homie. Y'all supposed to get over here and then go beat up some other niggas.
Yeah.
Don't worry about never not getting your point across and not speaking your mind, because everything you have to say is important. You are important. So therefore, if you gotta fight, you stand behind what you stand behind. That's that. But that's your brother, so you get over it.
Because safe sex plays a part, cherishing our seed plays a part, not just, fertilizing on anything.
In 1992, 1993, 1994, even before that, we had shows that depicted us and
media programming, right?
I got that in the 80s.
This is where I'm at. I'm with Cosby. I'm with a lot of different things. So our generation is different than this generation. Our generation really don't have no excuse. Because even if you didn't have a father in the household and a mother in the household, you had things to show you how a household is supposed to run.
Right. I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Different world.
Yeah.
You had a lot of good stuff back then.
You didn't have no excuse. But this
you're the realest nigga to say that right now.
Okay.
It's a great point.
But you know what though? Can I say this though? Because this is something.
So you telling me there's no restraint now? There's no ceiling. Everything's just.
Hold on, wait. I'm sorry, but
you was about to let me say something, man.
I know, man, but then I got on this thing.
I'm trying to congratulate. I'm trying to tell y'all something.
Go ahead.
All right, because I'm speaking from my generation specifically, because I'm younger than both of you. One of the biggest issues with my generation is we're so separated from y'all niggas.
And we did it to you.
It's true. The elders fell. We failed them.
These are the stories of the men who suffered because of the child support laws. You have a man by the name of Nick Olivas of Phoenix, Arizona. He became a father at the age of 14, a fact that he wouldn't learn for 8 years. While in high school, Olivas had sex with a 20-year-old woman. He sees it now that she took advantage of a lonely kid going through a rough patch at home. State law says a child younger than 15 cannot consent with an adult under any circumstances, making Olivas a rape victim. Olivas didn't press charges, and he says he didn't realize at the time that it wasn't even something to consider. The two went their separate ways. Olivas, now 24, living in Phoenix, graduated from high school, went to a college, became a medical assistant. Then 2 years ago, the state served him with papers demanding child support that he's found out, and had then a 6-year-old daughter. A January 2014 story about a man named Clifford Hall of Houston, Texas, who was sentenced to the county jail for 180 days for child support despite him not owing any child support, was widely reported as a case of a man who was sentenced for paying too much child support. Now, let me get this right. This man was sentenced to 6 months in the county jail for overpaying and over-visiting his child. Obviously, these child support laws doesn't have anything to do with children, but has everything to do with breaking up the families, locking up the fathers, while making money off of them all at the same time. So I ask, who benefits the most? The magistrates, the judges, and the child support agencies. They take 66 cents of every dollar the father owes them. Now I ask, who benefits the least? The father and definitely the children. These children were made in private, and they should be taken care of in private. But we as a people don't do that. We like to take our business to a system that's designed to oppress us and to maintain our dysfunction. This is another story of a sperm donor being put on child support. A man by the name of William Marotta answered an ad on Craigslist from two lesbians who were looking for a sperm donor to conceive a child, and out of altruism, he said and gave the Kansas women a donation for free and waived all his parenting rights. But the District Court of Shawnee County in Kansas ruled January 22nd that Marotta must pay back the state $4,000 in public assistance that it provided for the now 4-year-old girl, along with child support. Marotta, a 47-year-old mechanist from Topeka, said that he had written a contract with the two women and should not have to pay. He is appealing to the ruling, which legal experts say is a first. He stated, "I was a donor and they were the parents. I told Topeka Station, which is WIBW, we had a contract, and I said I am not going to be part of it, and I don't ever intend to be a part of it. They don't want me to be a part of it. Two people wanted to have a baby and couldn't do it by themselves, so I assisted. That's about it. The state is undoing a family." The state, on behalf of Kansas Department for Children and Families, filed a lawsuit May 24th, 2013, that asked for a summary judgment against Marotta because the couple had not complied with the state law that required sperm donation be done under the supervision of a doctor. The lawsuit cites a provision of the Kansas Parentage Act, KSA 23-2208F, which states the donor of semen provided to a licensed physician for the use of artificial insemination of a woman other than the donor's wife is treated in the law as if he were not the birth father of the child thereby conceived, unless agreed to in writing by the donor and the woman. This is the story of 1.6 million men that pays child support for children that aren't theirs. According to Pew Research Center, 30% of DNA paternity tests, nearly 1 in 3, prove that the man involved is not the father of the child in question. Currently, more than 300,000 such tests are done each year. Since it is unlikely these paternity tests were done without the underlying reason, almost certainly involving payment of child support, there are thus over 90,000 men who have been falsely accused of paternity each year. Maybe if we didn't encourage such behavior by enslaving men to pay for it, we wouldn't have so much of it. But courts are notorious for continuing child support even when it has been proven the man named is not the biological father. With few exceptions, we can assume that the minimum of 90,000 men a year are being indentured for erroneous payments for a period of at least 18 years in the United States. That would suggest that, at a minimum, 1.6 million men are enslaved today by the courts to pay for other men's children, 90,000 men per year for 18 years. The sample size of 300,000 DNA tests a year suggests that, as an upper limit, 30% of all children are conceived by a man other than the one named by the mother. With 4 million children now born each year in the United States, 1.2 million men are likely to be victims of paternity fraud each year. It can be presumed that by the far great majority of these deceived men are enslaved by the courts and the mothers' lies to support these children until at least age 18. Therefore, as many as 21 million men are indentured today, either by marriage or the courts to pay much of their income for children they have no biological ties to. From the lower limit of the 1.6 million men proven to be current victims of paternity fraud to the upper estimate of 21 million, the middle ground of 10 million men presently enslaved by this fraud appears reasonable. A case study of attempted reform. The Equal Justice Foundation is hardly the first and certainly not the last to attempt peaceful reform of felony fraud, perjury, adultery, inherit, and false paternity cases. Colorado House of Representatives. To his credit, Colorado Representative Bill Sinclair, a veteran of 3 wars and serving his last session in the legislature, introduced a bill in 2004 to allow but not require men to stop paying child support payments when DNA testing showed they were not the fathers of children they were indentured to support. A simple matter of justice and constitutional law, you might naively think, but you be wrong because you have greatly ignored what the courts and legislators regard as the best interest of the child. We also hear of many cases where the man had no idea a child even existed until a child support collection agency began garnishing their wages, sometimes even after the child is grown. A 1996 federal welfare law requires a woman to name a father, no questions asked, when she applies for public assistance, oftentimes many years after her child is born. A paternity notice is often then simply mailed to the man's last known address. For a variety of reasons, men often don't get the notice, particularly if they are in the armed forces. A default judgment of paternity is then entered. Commonly, we hear that men have never seen the child and knew the mother only briefly, if at all. Almost certainly, her child doesn't know the man paying child support. And if you believe the courts or child support collection agencies will stop these support payments simply because DNA paternity tests prove the child isn't his, then I'd like to sell you some vegan chitlins. Now, there are many small fractions of men who can maintain a loving relationship with children proven to have been great by some other men, but we don't hear from them. We do hear from many men who have been driven away from what they presume were their children by vindictive, spiteful, and vengeful women using restraining orders, arrests, and moving away with the children, to say nothing of irrational acts of family court. 40% of the hundreds of married men who contact the Equal Justice Foundation for help do so after they find evidence their wives are having an affair. These men are falsely charged with domestic violence or abuse and suffer the crushing weight of being driven from their home and children by restraining orders that are handed out by judges like candy. As a result of these all too frequently false allegations, women are given the house, the kids, the car, the bank account, very generous child support, and sometimes alimony maintenance as a reward for their adultery. And when DNA paternity tests prove he isn't the father, the child support doesn't stop. Solutions. The only time you're required to give DNA is for criminal cases. Anything other than a criminal case, it's voluntary that you give your DNA for the child support agency to establish paternity. Once paternity is established, that's when the child support agency can start to garnish the father's income. One of the first steps the child support agencies take in order to establish paternity is by sending mail to the father's home through priority mail. If the father, which is the obligor, the non-custodial parent, doesn't return the mail back through certified mail, then he's presumed to have received the mail from the child support agency. Then he has 14 to 20 days to respond in terms of showing up to the child support hearing. The solution to this is when receiving mail through priority mail from the child support agency, you're supposed to take the mail back down to the post office, make sure you get a receipt saying that you sent the mail back to whoever sent it to you, which is the child support agency. Once you return the mail back to the child support agency, their next step is to send a process server to the obligor's home, which is the father, in order to get him to sign for the mail. But by law, you're not required to take any mail. There's no law stating it's a crime for you not to take the mail. It's 100% voluntary. You basically tell the process server either the person isn't home, or you can tell them that you're not taking the mail and they can take it back with them. The last line of defense for the child support agency to establish paternity is by sending a sheriff to the father's home. Now, this can be tricky because you have a sheriff with a badge and a gun, and that can be considered duress, which means by force indirectly, because we assume if we don't take the mail from the child support agency, from the sheriff, then there's a possibility we can be locked up. But that's not true. You can also tell the sheriff that you're not taking the mail and or you're not signing for it. These are the first steps for the child support agency to establish paternity. If you go by these steps, you will not be on child support because at the end of the day, child support is 100% voluntary and it only benefits the government, not the child. Another solution is that we must be very careful on who we choose to be our lifelong partners and mates. We have to find people that like to do what we like to do. We have to find people with morals, values, and goals, because it's almost impossible to know that a woman will put you on child support because a lot of us don't see those signs. So the best thing to do is to be careful who we choose to be within our lives and to have our children, and try to let them understand that child support does not benefit the children or the mother, and we must show them why child support was created, basically, so the government could get their share if they can understand that. That could be the beginning of us as a people doing away with the white boys' child support system.
Child support, in and out of court. My children are sold to a system that doesn't care. How can we prepare? Child support. Parents were uneducated, so we fought. I'm in a dark tunnel. Somebody light the torch. My sons, I can't find them. Touch them, smell them. Nightmares, I can't protect them. Judge tells me to shut up and pay the bill. So my kids are just a bill, not human. They don't feel. Walking to school by themselves without my shadow. Teaching them lessons how to battle life, bullies, racism, and much more. Wait. I must be accountable. I made a choice to go raw and create a beautiful flower with someone who had issues. I saw the signs, the flags were red. I ignored them, I look ahead. So due to my decisions, my kids suffer. Young kings, cherish your seed before you plant them, because the soil you choose could be rotten, toxic. Lust and love is totally different. Take your time, learn self before your children become a statistic in they matrix. See, they use our women to humiliate us, strip us of our power while they count the money, laughing in them towers, preferably Trump, beaten, bruised, battered and dumped. Good fathers hated, bad fathers treated with love, backwards. Support your child, do your best, show him or her the way through the wild. Backed up arrears climbing, now you locked up in the prison climate. Baby mama silent, only hurting the baby. Nobody wins, the system crazy. Father's running, mama's chilling. Father's working, mama killing. Restraining orders, you're not allowed around your children. Suicidal thoughts, no more building. You become numb, no more feelings. Taking care of your children, that's not yours. She forgot to tell you, before she met you, she was a whore. And your daughter's not yours, and you still gotta pay. Woman protected by the law. But remember, kings, you saw them documents under duress. You didn't know your rights, I must confess. Become more blessed. We playing checkers, these devils playing chess. Deception, we must do the knowledge. Self-correction, raise our kings and queens. True connection, child support your child. Such a blessing. Support your child. Bassy Manilow. Yeah. Kill the buffalo. Kill the buffalo. I throw on my wool, grab the bull by the horns, liberating my queen. She fixing my armor, grooming my beard. The crown is heavy, the trouble is steady, the pain is ready, designed just for you. How will you respond? The vision is tricky, manipulating the bond between self and greatness. Woman, respect only the strong. My performance is flawless, my intellect is gorgeous. I master with these weapons of torture. Look at this blessing I bought you. Heaven I scorch you, hell I bought you. The buffalo mine. Give us one for the winner. I dare you to enter. Come challenge this ninja. A warrior, R-test, champion built, 40 of side. Where I reside, the box is never for me. Too clever, I'm deep. I'm rebel, a reek of knowledge and power. Books on my side. Health, inspiration, love, life.
Peace, family. If you made it to this video, you made it to the end of the film. This is my conclusion of the Support Child documentary. I want to thank everybody for watching this great film. I hope you was able to take something from it. To my kings, we must be accountable. We must take care of our own. Us as fathers are crucial to the household, to the son, to the daughter, to the mother. So know that, kings, and be responsible, be civil, and always go beyond the call of duty when it comes to your family. Young kings, cherish your seed, practice abstinence, learn yourself, love yourself before you can love somebody else. To my young queens, your body is your temple. Don't let nobody just enter in there. Love yourself, learn yourself before you can love and learn somebody else. To my queens, learn how to heal. If the man is a truly good father, try to be civil. Even if the relationship don't work out, try to be civil. Talk about it. Try to find a resolution before we go to that corrupt system, because that should be the absolute last resort. If he's not being reasonable and he's being the a-hole, do what you got to do. I want to thank Jay Supreme, Wi-Fi Films. I want to thank my brother in arms, Lamore Decina. I want to thank Misty Nicole, Kanita Stubbs, Jonathan, and the whole Now Production family. I want to thank my brother King Parts, my narrator, good friend Shaka Zulu. I want to thank Concrete Celebrities, my dude Guap Bop, Most Consistent, Justin J.P. Perry for the awesome artwork, Janiyah Poet from the Oakland, the Bay Area, awesome job, Words of Mensa, my boy, killed that spoken word, Gerald, King Blair, awesome debate, my boy Lucas Vision for editing and helping me with the film, with the trailer. And I want to thank my loved ones, my friends, my family. I truly, truly do appreciate you guys, and thank you for watching. Please don't stop here. Scroll down, check out Hill TV. We educate and uplift the community with visual media. See what we about. We also a nonprofit, and we have another project coming based on human trafficking called Saving the Light. And you can also, if you want to donate to my platform, you like what we doing at Hill TV, you can go PayPal, JWork, J-A-Y, work, 75@gmail.com if you want to send a donation and help this great movement keep going in the right direction. And